let's go right ahead and go into this second segment. Well, right now, Japan is up 84-80, and there is 16 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. So this is a huge possession coming in from France. They need to get, they need to get a score, and then they desperately need to foul and then hope that someone misses a free throw and then try to win the game later in the end. But aside from that, let's go right ahead and talk about some of these these Olympic athletes. I keep saying NBA players. Let's talk about these Olympic athletes that have NBA level experience. There we go. That's so much better than what I was saying before. Now, there's a lot of them. Obviously, you have the entire United States roster that is composed of NBA players. I mean, if you don't know who they are, Steph, Anthony Edwards, LeBron, Kevin Durant, Derek White, Halliburton, Jason Tatum, Joel, you guys should all know exactly who those guys are. So I'm not really going to focus on them, but rather the other Olympic teams that are playing as well. Now, aside from the United States, another team that is loaded with NBA talent is Canada. Now, they aren't really that, how should I say, as iconic as Team USA, and not every single one of those players are all-stars in the NBA, right? So but still, having NBA, oh my gosh, France just made an and one three-pointer. Okay, but after that happened, the skill gap between these kinds of players on the roster and USA's kind of players on the roster, they aren't really the same. So, but Jesus, that was a crazy clutch three to tie up the game. So the Canadian team, they have Luguentz Dort. He's currently in the NBA right now. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, another player that's in the NBA right now. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, arguably their best player and their best player for, the NBA. And in the NBA, he was an MVP caliber player last season, was second in voting, I believe. Either second or third, maybe behind. I know he was behind Jokic. He probably could have been behind Luka towards the end, but next player is Jamal Murray. He is, he is a teammate for Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. And there we go. France has just tied it up with 10 seconds left to go in the fourth. We might have overtime. This is exactly why I saved this, this game recap for the fourth segment instead of the third segment, because I wasn't sure whether or not this game would even end in regulation. So Dwight Powell, he's another player on the Canadian team. Trey Lyles, another player on the Canadian team that has NBA experience and is currently in the NBA right now. RJ Barrett, Kelly Olynyk. Some of the two, if you guys aren't really casual fans, you're gonna know who RJ Barrett and Kelly Olynyk are. Maybe not so much if you were a casual, but if you aren't, then you're gonna know who Kelly Olynyk is, and you should know who RJ Barrett is. Now, Andrew Nembhard and Dillon Brooks. Now, if you're a casual, I feel like you're going to know exactly who Dillon Brooks is, because he's essentially the NBA's villain, arguably one of the most annoying players ever, just because of the way that he acts. It's really, I'm not a fan of him. I'm really not a fan of what he does, how he tries to just be a Hall of Fame hater. And I'm not saying that just to hate. He is literally a Hall of Fame hater. He literally said that, LeBron wasn't going to score 40 on him, maybe if he was in his prime, but LeBron ended up smacking him out of the first round anyway. But he's one of those players where it's it's all bark and no bite, and it's really annoying. Next player on this list is Khem Birch. Now, he's not in the NBA now, but he used to be an NBA player with NBA level experience. And the last player is Melvin Ejim. Again, forgive me if I completely botched that name, but he is the only player on the Canadian national team that has never played in the NBA. And right now, Japan is going to walk up, heat check, and he missed. Okay. And then the game is going into overtime. And the player that shot the ball, he has 25 plus points, so that was either gonna go in or it was gonna miss, and like I had no problem with him taking that shot with how he was playing. So because like he was wasting a lot of time. Like, it's not like they really had a play drawn up, so he was just walking down the court and then shot the three, and it was like, he just missed. But now this game's going into overtime. So Team Australia, they have Dyson Daniels, Josh Giddey, Patty Mills, Josh Green, and Joe Ingles. They all Dante Exum. They all have NBA level experience, and if you're not a casual, and maybe even you are casual, you probably know who Dante Exum is. You probably know if you've been watching the NBA for a long time, then you'll definitely know who Patty Mills is, and you'll definitely know who Exum is. And if you're relatively new, you'll probably know who Giddey is. I'm pretty sure everyone knows who Giddey is because of the things that he does, but I'm not really going to talk about that. So there's also Duop Reith. You're probably not going to know who he is, but he is in the NBA. Same with Jock Landale. And Matthew Dellavedova, he used to have NBA experience. Right now he's not on an NBA currently. Like, he's not on an NBA team currently, but he used to play with LeBron and the Cavs, and he was best known as the Curry stopper in 2016. Like, he was playing some really good defense on Steph. Either that or Steph was just playing some really bad offense. You guys make do with what you want with that. So then there's also Will McNay, who is a former NBA player. And finally, Nick Kay and Jack McVeigh. Those are the only two players that don't have NBA level experience. And that's it for Team Australia. Next is Team France. They have a couple of players, not the entire roster though. Frank Ntilikina, forgive me if I completely messed up that name, Nicholas Batum, Evan Fournier, Rudy Gobert, and of course Victor Wembanyama. And finally Bilal Koulibaly. Those guys are all NBA players, the players that I just mentioned. Gershon Yabusele, again forgive me if I completely botched that last name, Nando De Colo. Those two guys are former NBA players, and the final four players have never played in the NBA. Andrew Albisi, Isaiah Cordinier, Matthias Lazort, and Matthew Strazel. Now, why am I talking about all of this? Well, recently there was a little bit of a debate, like how people are arguing whether the Avengers now are that the same caliber as the Dream Team, and since LeBron's on this team, leading this team, everyone's going to compare it to Michael Jordan's Olympic team. And I just wanted to there was the point put out there, like, yes, well, Team USA was ridiculously dominant back then with Jordan on the Dream Team. Let's not act like the rest of the world was on the same caliber as NBA players. Like, because that's just not true. There are more NBA players in this Olympics now than there has ever been before. And because of that, that is going to, give these international teams a better chance of winning the gold. Because, as every year goes, basketball is like the United States' sport to lose. Like, they never lose in basketball. The United States barely ever loses in basketball. And for both men and women. So, for Serbia, Filip Petrovic is an NBA player. Nikola Jovic, another NBA player. Bogdan Bogdanovic, Nikola Jokic, obviously, and Vasilij Micic. They're all, forgive me if I botch their last names, but they're all NBA players. And Marko Guduric is the only player on the team that used to be in the NBA but isn't on the NBA, and the rest of the players have never played in the NBA. Santi Aldama, he is an NBA player as well. He plays for the Spanish national team. Usman Garuba, he is another NBA player. He plays for the Spanish team. And then the rest of the players for the Spanish team are former NBA players, but they obviously have NBA experience. Lorenzo Brown, Rudy Fernandez, Juan Hernan Gomez, Willie Hernan Gomez, and Alex Abrines. So, those guys, they all have NBA level talent. And the rest of the players on the roster, Jamie Pradilla, Isabi Lopez Arostegui, forgive me if I completely mess up their names, Dario Brizuela, that's funny, Alberto Diaz, and Sergio Llull. They're all players that do not have NBA level experience. Now, with Germany, Franz Wagner, Daniel Tice, Mo Wagner, and Dennis Schroeder. They're all NBA players, and they all have NBA level experience. And a former NBA player on that squad, Isaac Bonga, he used to play in the NBA, and he was there for a little bit, but obviously, he wasn't there for a long time. And the rest of the players have never played in the NBA. Now, here we're moving on to, some of the teams that only have, one or two NBA level talent. So Gui Santos, he is the only NBA player on the Brazilian team. Cristiano Felicio, Didi Luzada, Marcelo Huertes, Raul Neto, and Bruno Caboclo, excuse me, forgive me if I messed up all of those names. They're all former NBA players, and the rest of the players have no NBA experience. For South Sudan, Wenyan Gabriel and JT Thor are the only players that have NBA experience, and Carlick Jones and Mariel Shayok were former NBA players. So actually, my bad, 4 players had NBA experience. For Puerto Rico, only Jose Alvarado is on an NBA team right now, and the rest of the players, Devon Reed, Alim Ford, Gian Clavel, Tremont Waters, they're all former NBA players, and then the rest of the players on the list have no NBA experience at all. Now, with Greece, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the only one on the Greece national team that is in the NBA currently, and it explains, why he's had to carry the team the way that he's had to carry the team. Now, Nick Calafes, Georgios Papagiannis, Papagiannis, that's funny, and Kostas Papanikolaou. Those are the only few players that have NBA experience, and they're they formerly played in the NBA. And finally, we have Japan. And they only have 2 NBA players and 2 players with NBA experience, Roy Hachimura and Yuta Watanabe. Aside from those 2 players, Japan has nobody else that has been in the NBA or is on the NBA right now. So those are all of the teams in the Olympics, and that's every single one of them that has there's an injury on the floor for Japan right now, but that's every single one of them that has NBA talents and NBA caliber players on their rosters. So really shows just how competitive the Olympics have become for basketball, and really that the world is sort of catching up with the United States. So just wanted to go ahead and do all of that for you guys in this segment. So now we will go ahead and go into the third segment, which is going to be focused on the women's side of the Olympics, women's basketball, because I haven't really talked about them, at all in any of these segments. So I'm just going to go ahead and just give a recap of all of the games that went down, as well as the group standings, where every single team stands, and all of the important stuff that you guys would need to know. I'll be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.